Hey guys, I promised you a video on how to do a little file management, so that way you can create documents and then send them via email. So bear with me here. It probably end up being about a 6 or 7 minute long video, but I think it's going to do you some good to have some a little bit of upfront information on what file management's all about and how a computer kind of works, and I think that's going to be helpful. So what we're looking at here, I've got my computer screen, right, and this here's what they call the desktop. But I think it's important to know that really a computer, with all of its hard drives and memory and all that kind of stuff, really is just like a big file cabinet. And I know you guys are familiar with those and how those work, but like any kind of file cabinet, right, you got a bunch of drawers, and inside the drawers you got a bunch of files, and generally the way you organize a file cabinet, each drawer will be related to one particular we'll call it a subject, right? So for at home, maybe you've got a drawer for medical records. Maybe you have a different drawer for recreation. Maybe you have another drawer for financial paperwork, something like that. And then if you were to open up one of those drawers, then inside that you'd have a bunch of file folders, right? So let's say your recreational folder or drawer, you open that up, and inside maybe you've got a file for everything related to your trip down to Carlsbad. Then you have a different file for everything related to ocean shores. Then you've got one related to dogs and dog training. Then you've got one related to golf or whatever it might be, right? And then all of your paperwork that relates to each one of those individual topics goes inside that folder. Well, computers the exact same way, and that's what file management's all about. And so instead of printing out a piece of paper and filing it in the correct folder, in one of those drawers, you just simply save it in the correct place in your on your computer someplace. Well, the default place to save things, that pieces of software like Microsoft Word and Excel and all those kinds of things, if you just were to hit save, it automatically just shoves it into this one drawer. Really, we should just call it a file cabinet. This one file cabinet called My Documents, where it's going to take anything that you create or save and just stick it in there. Okay, so I'm going to open mine up, and if I open mine up, what you see is, here it is, it opened it up. I got all kinds of stuff in here, right? I've got executable files, I got PNGs, I've got documents like Word documents, I've got Excel spreadsheets, I've got everything, and it's all just thrown together into one. I've even got a bunch of subfolders in here because I've tried to make some folders for certain things, like anything related to 7th grade social studies. I've got a folder here, and if I open this up, it's got everything related to 7th grade social studies and all that kind of stuff. I've got all kinds of stuff, right? But you can imagine if I didn't create these folders, then everything in here, all of this stuff, all of this plus everything in all of these individual things would all be thrown together in here, right? So all my 7th grade social studies stuff would all be lumped together with my my world history stuff and all my civics stuff. And if you can imagine, I've got thousands of files now in one place. It's going to be kind of tough to go find those files when I want to get to them. So that's why I organize them by subject or by things that I've got going on a little bit more. And so that way it's a little bit easier for me to find. Okay. Now here's the reason I tell you this, right? It's a little bit easier to organize and find all your files that way. But when you go to email, it's going to be a little bit easier to go find your stuff to attach it to an email. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to close that out, and I'm going to open up Microsoft Word. So let me just open this up here, and Microsoft Word will open up, and let me bring it over to the correct window here. Here it is. Okay, so there's Microsoft Word. Now, the other thing is to keep in mind that a piece of software really is just like the old-fashioned machine that you used to use. In this case, it would be a typewriter. right? And so it's not saving anything inside of itself. It's just a machine. So you take the raw materials, which is your words and things, and you just simply stick them in on your sheet of paper, just like you would in a typewriter. You type it up, whatever it is that you want to type it up. This is just a test of some kind, something that we want to work with, right? So there, I've got something there, and so if in a regular typewriter, if I wanted to keep this thing, I would simply take it out of the typewriter, and I would have to put it somewhere, right? Maybe I stick it in a basket, maybe I just leave it sitting on my desk, maybe I let it fall on the floor, I don't know, right? But generally when you're working, with a regular typewriter and you take the piece of paper out, right, you go stick it in a file cabinet, and it'd be nice if that file cabinet was organized and I can stick it where I want. Okay, so now instead of having something printed out like this sheet of paper, I can just save it. Right now it's a digital file. It's not actually printed out, but it's always there for me. But I have to be able to go figure out where to do it. So I'm going to go up here to save. And when I go into save as, notice where it tries to save it, into my documents. That's where all these pieces of software just automatically default to, right? And so what happens is, if I were just to hit save, and it tries to even give me a name, usually the title or the first few words of the document. I want to give it a better title. This might just be test or something like that. Okay, but I can figure out, well, where do I want to save this thing? What file cabinet, what drawer, what folder do I want to put this thing in? Okay, and if I click on the pull down arrow, I've got all these different places available to me. Okay, I can put it on the desktop, right, which is just that blue screen, and it'll just literally pop up there. Okay, I can go into my documents, which is where I want to go, but now I go in here. Do I just want to stick it in here somewhere, or do I literally want to put it in to one of my own? Or maybe it's a new category and I want to create a new category. So if I want to create a new category, I'm going to go over here to create a new folder. Okay, and I can either click here and it pops up a new folder, or I can literally right click and go to new folder, and it puts a new folder in there, and I'm just going to call this test or something like that. And so now I've got a new folder in here, and I can stick everything that I want to work with on this little test that we're doing in this test folder. So here's my test document. I want to stick it in this test folder. So let me go back. Here I am. Here's my documents, right? Oh, there's my test folder that I just created. I want to go stick it in there, so I click and open up the test folder, and I'm going to stick my test document in there, right? So there we go. So now, if I close out of Microsoft Word and I come back, sorry about that. Let me snooze that. So now, I'm working on this, right? And let's say I want to go back to my Microsoft Word document, find that test document. Well, I can go in here, right? And here's Microsoft Word's open up. I can go File, and I can go down to, I want to open something up, or here's my recent documents, so there's located there. I can go to Open, right? But I've got to go find where it is. Once again, it's going to automatically default to my documents. So, where did I stick it in my, oh yeah, I stuck it in this test folder. There it is. And I can open it back up, and it pulls it back up for me. Okay, and so that's kind of what I want to do there. In fact, what I think I'll do is I will make a, you know what? There's that document. I'm closing out of Microsoft Word again. I'm going to now show you how to attach it. Now that you've created a document and you've got it saved, I'm going to show you how to attach it to an email. And all emails basically work the same, and I know yours looks a little bit different, but I'm going to go in here to my create a new email, right? And I can type in, B. Craner, something like that. Or maybe it's Craner 2, I don't know what it is. I'm going to check names, Barbara Craner, there it is. So I'm sending this email to you, right? I'm going to give it a subject, test. Okay, I could type in, hey, Aunt Barbara, something like that. Attached is the file that I am sending you, right? So now I'm always going to look for this little attach. Usually it looks like some kind of paper clip, but you got to look for an attachment or an attach file, something like that. It looks usually something like that. And when you click on it, it's going to ask you, well, what file do you want to attach? So, and it's going to usually default to your My Documents section. Okay, well, I got to go find it. Well, where did I put that thing? Oh yeah, I put it in my test folder. There it is. Okay, I'm going to double click that. Oh, it sticks it in there for me. So now I can see I've got this one document attached to my email. So now when I hit send, it's going to send you my email plus this attachment. Okay, and so that's how you would send an attachment. And that's why it's kind of important to know about file management, because when you want to go attach things or go find those things again, it's good to know where they are. I'm not going to actually send this, but I'm going to get out of there. Okay, and there's that. But once again, I could go into my documents. I could look at all this stuff. There's that test folder again. There's that test document. Okay, and there's everything that I need. Right. So that's a little bit about file management, how to create a file, how to save it in a place where you want to save it, how to create a folder, and then how to also attach those things to an email. But that's why you really want to kind of organize your files a little bit more than just sticking them in there. And once again, all Microsoft Word did was create a Word document, but it didn't actually save it in Microsoft Word. It saved it somewhere for you. You just didn't really know where it was before, but hopefully now you know.